Ruminating can feel like your mind is in the driver's seat going 100 miles per hour and you're just helpless in the passenger seat on the ride to hell. If you like positive and uplifting vibes, then you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button where every week I'm going to be talking about something to uplift you and make sure that your life is in balance. Now, if you're watching this video, then odds are at some point you have felt like you are not in control of your life because your mind is just running all over the place and you can't stop it. You know, from thinking about that thing that happened to you in the 5th grade to that moment yesterday with your significant other where you said something that might have offended them and now you're just thinking about how you could have done better and you're shaming yourself about it. But maybe after watching this video, you'll have some hope and you'll quiet that little voice just a little bit or enough every day until it doesn't have a hold on you anymore. So here are 6 major keys that really help me to get a handle on my ruminating thoughts. 1, learning to meditate. And I know you're like,
oh my gosh, if I hear someone talk about meditation one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
But there's a reason why everyone is such a big advocate of it. And it's because it works. And not just meditation in the sense of quiet your mind and don't think of anything. There's more than one way to meditate. And the one that I'm talking about is combining it with affirmations. Using affirmations while you meditate not only makes you focus on a singular point so that your mind isn't running around all over the place, but you're also instilling into yourself maybe the things that you don't tell yourself enough. So what I like to do is, obviously you find a quiet place, you find a position that's comfortable for you. Sometimes for me, it's laying down, sometimes it's sitting on the couch, and sometimes it's cross-legged. And I'll sit there and I'll take a deep breath. Just like that. And I'll do that, a repeated amount of times until I feel ready to go. And I'll say something along the lines of,
all is well. Everything is okay. You are worthy.
Just things that I know that I need to hear. And I do my best to focus on those thoughts and really be present. And you probably won't get it the first time or the second time or even the third, but the key is consistency and to keep trying. And at first I was only doing it 5 minutes a day, and then I stretched it out to 10 and so on and so forth. I won't really tell you how long you should be doing it. There is really no end goal to that in my opinion. It's just a matter of when you feel like you've done it long enough. And in the long run, eventually you'll start to notice that it becomes easier to quiet those thoughts. Because while you're practicing meditating, that's what you're also practicing to do, and it just gets a whole lot easier. Number 2, don't go down the hole. And what I mean by that is, when you notice yourself starting to have those thoughts and they're just becoming more incessant, there is a point that you can always come back from before you go down the hole. You probably know what I'm talking about, where it's kind of like a boulder going down a hill, and the longer it's going down, the faster it gets, and then it becomes almost unstoppable. So catch yourself. Number 3 is to know your triggers and know your patterns that cause you to spiral. So, for example, I tend to struggle with incessant and paranoid thoughts with ruminating in my relationship. I've gotten a lot better. A lot better. I'm not who I used to be a year ago, but there are certain topics or certain actions that may trigger me. So I start to think all of these things that I know aren't true. And so I know that as my trigger, so therefore I avoid it at all cost. So that's what I mean in finding your triggers. You know those things. Even if you don't know those things, get to know those things. Learn what really triggers you. That way you can avoid it in the first place. Okay, so number 4 is to utilize distractions. So in those moments where I'm already in the hole and my thoughts have just got a hold on me, I like to do any and everything I can to get my mind to focus on something else. So whether that's turning on, I like to watch comedy stand-ups because they focus, a lot of times they're telling a story and the stand-up, and it focuses me to pay attention. Focuses me. It forces me to pay attention. And any little thing that you can do to take your mind off of it, I know it's easier said than done, but that has to be your intention. I don't like to do books because my mind already wanders when I read a book, so it's either a movie or listen to some music, catch some YouTube videos, something that I actually enjoy that'll take my mind off of whatever's going on in here. Number 5 is to read, and listen to things that will develop your mindset for the better. So I personally think that insecurities and negative thoughts and bad habits and ruminating tend to linger in ignorance. I guess that's what you can say. So when I was really struggling in my past relationship, and I'll have to do a video about that because I've got a lot. I learned a lot in that relationship. But basically, I was so awful in that relationship because I was ignorant to the fact that I needed to love myself. And I needed to love myself because my self-worth was so poor. And my self-worth was so poor because I didn't have anyone telling me that it should be higher. And that someone that could have been telling me was books, or certain YouTubers that put out positive content, or certain podcasts that were out there to tell me that I am enough and that I can do all of these things. So read and listen to things that grow your mindset and increase your confidence and your self-worth, because when you feel powerful, you are powerful. And you get to a point where you're like, wait a minute, this is my mind. And a good quote that I read from a book, I'll have to find which one it was the quote is basically, your thoughts exist because of your consciousness does not exist because of your thoughts. And that was everything when I read it. And I was like,
that's totally right.
So, with that said, there's no reason why us as powerful beings can't have a handle on our thoughts, because they only exist because we do. By the way, if you haven't seen my video on introvert burnout and you just so happen to be an introvert, I advise that you check it out. I gave some pretty good tips on how to prevent and balance, feeling exhausted and drained after you hang out. Okay, so number 6, which is the most important, is to have patience and love on yourself. The way you are didn't just happen overnight. There was a series of events and time and other things that happened to make you the person that you are today. So nothing you do is going to change what you are right now overnight. It's going to take time, and really having the intent to better my situation that really got me out of that situation, that got me out of thinking that I have no control in my life and that I couldn't overcome these thoughts. Like I literally felt like my thoughts were running my life, and that doesn't even make sense when I say it, but I know someone out there probably feels the same way. And I wish I had someone to tell me that to just keep going and to believe that you can do it. Want it so bad that no matter how bad your thoughts may seem at times, know that it'll get better if you just keep working on it and never give up. And to love on yourself. I think when you reach a point where you love yourself no matter what, and you forgive yourself, and you accept yourself as who you are, I think the ruminating thoughts will just slowly go away, and before you know it, you won't even realize that they went away. And life will seem a little better, and then you can start to build upon the other things that you want to do and to have a more fulfilled life.